Hey there, and welcome back. Or if you're joining us for the first time, I am Dr. Andrew Snyder, and this is the Elder Scrolls and Philosophy, which is a 6-week study that I'm running through my Patreon over at patreon.com/mythicmind. Find that link in the show notes if you want to join with us. And I've already changed some of the structure since the last video that I posted when I talked about how this is going to be running. And that's because I've run a number of independent studies so far, but they've all been literature based. This is the first time I'm leading a study with popular media, such as video games. And so I've decided, based off some early data, some early conversations I've had, that this different focus requires a different kind of model, or at least it calls for a different kind of model. And so here's how this is going to go. I'm going to continue to post publicly the content from the course to YouTube channel, as well as to the Mythic Mind Games podcast. Now, if you are listening to the podcast, then by all means, please keep listening. But as I've said with the other videos, you're going to get a little bit more out of it if you see the visuals, if you watch the video. So if you are listening to the podcast, then please keep doing that. Listen on the go. But at some point, I recommend clicking that link in the show notes. Make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel and watch the videos. That way you get the visuals that accompany the audio. Now, that being said, I think that the plan right now, and this is all still kind of fluid as I'm entering some new territory, but the plan is for me to publicly post one video a week. But note that there are 3 videos that happen each week for those who are actually in the study with me through Patreon. Each week includes one story overview video of whatever it is that we're focusing on. This time it's going to be Morrowind. And then we're going to get another video each week that deals with some philosophical idea, concept, subject matter related to the game that we're currently studying. And stay tuned for the end of this video to see what's coming next. And then also we have live discussions each week, which are going to be recorded. And so if you want to get all this content in real time, if you want to join our conversations, then become a patron over at patreon.com/mythicmind. And I am now opening up the course to all patrons. And so even just the tier 1, $5 a month tier, you are welcome to join us as well. All right, now with all of that being said, I hope that you enjoy my brief overview of the main story of Morrowind. And again, stay tuned for the end to figure out where we're going next. All right, I hope you enjoy. Following the incitements of Lorkhan, an emanation of chaos, Auriel and the other Aedra created the mortal plane of Mundus, but this came at a great cost, as the gods became limited by participating in this world that they had made. Lorkhan was declared guilty of great injustice for supposedly deceiving the Aedra, but he would not take this punishment without a fight. Thus Lorkhan gathered together mortal spirits known as men, and he led their armies against Auriel, shattering the kingdom of Old Ahinife, but he was eventually defeated by Trinimac, an Aedric champion of Auriel. Trinimac knocked Lorkhan down in combat and removed his heart, while the rest of his body was carried away by his devoted followers. However, the heart of Lorkhan could not be destroyed, for it is the heart of the world, known as such for Lorkhan's unique role in the creation of Mundus. So, unable to destroy the heart, Auriel fastened it to an arrow and shot it far into the sea, that its power might be lost. However, lost things can have a way of being found. Now before the Dunmer, the so-called Dark Elves of Vvardenfell, we have the Chimer, members of the ancient elven race known as the Aldmer, who believe themselves to be the very descendants of the gods. The Aldmer traditionally served the Aedra, whom they viewed as both their creators and as their kin, but the prophet Veloth encouraged dissidents to follow Boethia, Azura, and Mephala, the so-called good Daedric princes, and even to carefully negotiate with the bad Daedra, known as the House of Troubles. Due to religious tensions with the more traditionalist Aldmer, Veloth led his followers in an exodus, eventually landing them on Vvardenfell, where they were officially recast as the Chimer. The Chimer prospered in Vvardenfell, despite conflicts with the Dwemer, who are also sometimes known as the Dwarves. However, in response to aggression from Nordic invaders, the Chimer and Dwemer joined together, convening in the First Council, which effectively drove back the Nords. However, this alliance was never fated to last. Digging under Red Mountain, the agnostic Dwemer discovered an artifact of great significance, as it turned out to be the very heart of Lorkhan, which the Dwemer Kygrenak attempted to use to achieve immortality for his people. The Chimer found this to be a blasphemous act, and thus sought to put an end to the project. In the war that followed, The Chimer were led by Indoril Nerevar and his allies, Vorin Dagoth, Vivec, Almalexia, and Sothasil. These companions achieved great victories, but the Dwemer were able to make use of Lorkhan's heart nonetheless. The exact nature of this use, as well as the connection between their intention and its consequence, is nearly impossible to say, for to this day, all the Dwemer, save one, vanish and have not been heard from since the distant past. Perhaps they all died in judgment of their hubris. Perhaps they achieved immortality in a different plane of existence. Perhaps they were transported to another time and one day will reappear. There are many theories, but this continues to be one of Tamriel's greatest mysteries. During the final conflict of this war, Nerevar entrusted the tools of Kagrenac to Vorin Dagoth, although they were claimed by Nerevar's other companions, who used them to achieve godhood, enabling them to form the Tribunal. Exactly what befell Nerevar is unknown here. Perhaps he was mortally wounded in his fight against Dumek Dwarf King. Perhaps he was killed by his own companions. In either case, it is evident that he was betrayed either directly or indirectly by the Tribunal of Vivec, Almalexia, and Sothasil when they used the tools to become so-called living gods. In judgment of the Tribunal's crimes, the Daedric Prince Azura turned all the Chimer into the red-eyed Dunmer and promised that Nerevar would one day return to bring justice. The story of Morrowind begins centuries later when an Outlander, born on a certain day to uncertain parents, is transferred from the prisons of the imperial city of Cyrodiil to the distant realm of Morrowind. And orders for this strange arrangement come from the Emperor himself, Uriel Septim VII. Upon his arrival in Morrowind, the mysterious, now freed prisoner is sent to meet with Caius Crusadas, the Grand Spymaster of the Blades, in the city of Balmora. Despite not entirely understanding what is unfolding before him, Caius has the Outlander participate in a string of missions designed to familiarize him with the island of Vvardenfell, and especially with the shadowy cult of the Sixth House, whose members claim that Dagoth Ur will smite the land from his domain at Red Mountain. The Outlander soon learns of the 7 trials, which will prove that he is indeed the reincarnation of Indoril Nerevar, thus legitimizing his title of the Nerevarine. This quest brings him into contact with the various factions of Vvardenfell, including the Ashlanders, a collection of tribes whose expectation of the Nerevarine has made them a bane of the Tribunal. The Nerevarine convinces the great houses of Redoran, Halalu, and Telvanni of his prophetic identity. Meanwhile, the Sixth House's threat increases, while the Tribunal's godlike powers continue to wane due to how long it has been since they last touched the heart of Lorkhan. At the Red Mountain, Dagoth Ur, the corrupted form that Vorin Dagoth has taken, guards the heart and is hopeful that the returned Nerevar will join him in bringing justice upon the Tribunal's treachery. Vivec offers to help the Nerevarine in destroying Dagoth Ur by providing him with counsel and Wraithgar, one of Kagrenac's tools. Once he recovers the other tools, the Nerevarine confronts Dagoth Ur directly. Dagoth, still hopeful, offers the Nerevarine a chance to fight by his side. However, it is clear that this creature before him is no longer his friend and hero companion Vorin Dagoth. Thus the Nerevarine defeats Dagoth Ur and the heart of Lorkhan was lost to this world. Some say that it was finally destroyed that day, although Azura claims that it was merely freed from its prison of the mortal plane. The tools of Kagrenac eventually found their way to Skyrim and were recovered by the Dragonborn during the Dragon Crisis, but the fate of the Nerevarine remains uncertain. Some say that he left for an expedition in Akavir, but we cannot say for certain, which is exactly what we should expect of the fate of Indoril Nerevar, the hero who walks as much in legend as he does in time. Thank you for listening to the short overview of the main story of Morrowind. If you're not in the study, then I welcome you to join us over at patreon.com/mythicmind. Become a patron at any tier to join us. And also make sure that you are subscribed to my YouTube channel. The next video that comes out in this series will be on the 36 Lessons of Vivec. Until then, Godspeed.